Alrighty, folks. So I needed to break in. I know that it's sort of a vacation week, and obviously we're approaching Thanksgiving, and there's a lot going on for everybody. But I did want to comment on this horrifying news out of Washington, D.C. We know that 2 National Guard troops have been shot in what appears to be pretty obviously a terrorist attack near the White House. We now have the identity of the person who did the shooting. According to the New York Post, this person is a 29-year-old Afghan national who came to the United States during the 2021 Afghanistan withdrawal. The person's name is Rahmanullah Lakanwal, who apparently literally just ambushed these soldiers. He was lying in wait before rounding the corner near the Farragut West Metro Station in Northwest D.C. around 2:15 p.m., opened fire, struck a female guard in the chest, and then shot her in the head. This person apparently entered the country under Operation Allies Welcome and then resettled in Bellingham, Washington. He allegedly fired at and struck the second guard as well, and then a third guard stationed nearby rushed to the area and took him down. The suspect was shot 4 times and was hauled away nearly naked in an ambulance, apparently acted alone. Now, they're pretending that there is no obvious motive here, but reports suggest that this person, while performing the shooting, was shouting Allahu Akbar, which of course is a peaceful cry of wonder and joy, as we know historically speaking here. And there's so much to say about this. I mean, first of all, these are the wages of Joe Biden's awful foreign policy combined with his awful immigration policy. Remember, Joe Biden decided that in perfectly cowardly and ignominious fashion, the United States was going to flee Afghanistan and leave the entire country in the hands of the Taliban. We are simply going to withdraw air support. We are going to make it impossible for the Afghan government to stand up to the Taliban in any way, shape, or form. They rushed through the country. They ended up blowing up 13 American troops at Abbey Gate. They ended up killing enormous number of Afghan civilians. And then, of course, they ended up taking over the entire country, stuffing every woman back into a burqa and destroying the lives of some 19 million women who live in the country. All of that because of Joe Biden, because there could have been a withdrawal that was more orderly. There could have been a withdrawal that allowed for the possibility of the Afghan government continuing to provide a place for people to live that wasn't trash. Now, one of the biggest problems here is that in the aftermath of that, as sort of a compensatory failure, the Biden administration, because they knew that they were handing over an entire country back to terror masters like the Taliban, they decided that it was now necessary to bring thousands and thousands of unvetted Afghan refugees to the United States, that we were simply going to open our borders. So, because after 9/11, the United States decided to take out the Taliban as the power reigning in Afghanistan, and then decided that they were going to build a functioning democracy in Afghanistan, which of course was never going to work perfectly well, and then decided precipitously to withdraw because of Joe Biden's cowardice and idiocy. The result of this is that you end up with terrorists in the United States. So the original goal of this entire operation was to keep terrorists out of the United States, and in fact to deny a safe haven to terrorists in Afghanistan and to keep terrorists outside of America's borders. And instead what you got, thanks to Joe Biden, is the very people responsible for providing a safe haven for al-Qaeda in 2001 back in power by 2021. And not only that, export of many of the people who actively are fans of terrorism and hate the United States into the United States. And that's not everybody who is working with us as an ally. That's not vetted contractors that the U.S. military was working with. That was Joe Biden bringing unvetted thousands of people into the United States on the assumption the United States bore them a sort of blood guilt for having surrendered in Afghanistan. So it's failure on top of failure on top of failure. How many people came in? According to the New York Post, roughly 90,000 Afghans were allowed entry into the United States and became eligible for special immigrant visas under the Biden administration's Operation Allies Refuge and Operation Allies Welcome programs, which again provided foreign nationals immigration processing and resettlement support. And by the way, again, it is absolutely unclear how many of these people were in fact allies of the United States, were vetted, were Afghan translators, and all the rest. In June, U.S. officials identified 55 Afghan evacuees on the terrorist watch list who had immigrated from Afghanistan during that botched operation. 55. After investigations, the FBI eventually removed 46 evacuees from the watch list, but 9 remained in the terror database as of July 2024. 8 were in the United States. So, should we be surprised that unvetted mass migrations from some of the least pro-American countries on planet Earth, that you are going to catch a bunch of people there who ought not be in the United States, or that those people go on to commit acts of terrorism? Of course not. Of course not. And pretending otherwise is insanely stupid. Of course, all of this ties to unvetted Muslim migration from places like, say, Somalia, which of course has become a hot topic given the amount of welfare fraud as well as terror support in places in Minnesota, for example. When you bring in huge numbers of people from countries that do not like the United States and whose cultures are in fact not assimilative to American values, then you can't be surprised when stuff like this happens. You cannot. And this one is on Joe Biden, pure and simple. I don't know who else to blame. Honestly, like, it is your job to make sure that some of the most predictably terror-minded people on earth don't come into the United States. So again, you have cowardice, meaning the Afghan surrender, followed by foolishness, the importation of people unvetted from Afghanistan into the United States, combined with a sort of bizarre notion that America bears blood guilt to the rest of the world, which of course is not true. And the result of that is a female National Guard soldier shot in the chest and in the head, and a second soldier shot as well. It's horrifying stuff. So obviously we can only bring commentary to you like this live, in real time, because of our Daily Wire members, our annual members in particular. You can become an annual member, 50% off right now at dailywire.com right now, and we obviously appreciate that. We'll continue to bring you the breaking news as it happens.